My favorite thing is Wesley walks in all late. And if you look at Riker, he's pointing at him like, got you. You're late, dude.
Yeah.
It's a great look. I don't know what direction he was given, but I love it.
There's inertial dampeners on the ship, which need to be there because if you're accelerating to past light speed constantly, you would turn into a smear inside the ship if those didn't exist. But apparently, like, slight explosions outside of your ship will cause you to just shake like a crazy person.
Yeah,
inside.
Yeah.
Well, enough that this guy gets knocked back, and while I was watching that episode,
this guy sells these things so hard.
Yeah.
Like he's just like spazzing out on the floor.
It's great. Rick Berman was one of the producers on the show, right? And then he told a story on Twitter about how, like, oh, I have this communicator on my desk. This is what Tasha gave to me after her last day of shooting. She says, it's been a pleasure, and gave it to me. And then Denise Crosby Twitters back and goes, no, you bitch. That's not what happened.
Really?
What happened was we just finished my last shot. You walked up to me, said, you won't be needing this anymore, and took it from my shirt. So,
really?
Whoa.
What the
Rick Berman's a piece of shit.
Jesus. I can't help but look at one of the girls sitting down at the table that Wesley and his new companion, like, you know, walk over to. There's a girl sitting there who's dressed like two Scooby-Doo characters at once.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
She is Velma and Daphne combined.
Yeah.
And actually, you can interpret that green bit as Shaggy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's Scooby-Doo the girl.
Yeah, she's like the Full Metal Alchemist homunculus combination of all three of those characters.
Did anybody notice something strange watching this episode?
That his voice was dubbed?
My grandfather is buried on that mountain. He died in a rock slide surveying the route for this aqueduct.
Yes.
Exactly.
All of it was ADR.
So I looked this up. His name is Granger Hines. And after they finished recording all of his scenes, they said he sounded too much like John Wayne. So they ADR'd his voice with this other guy. So I found a clip on YouTube where he gives a testimonial for a hair treatment program. So this is his actual voice.
It's been remarkable because it's very difficult for me to remember what it was like before. It was very difficult for me to get used to having hair.
I'm sorry. We're just hearing this guy lament having hair. It's like, my bald brethren, you do not want this.
But you see where the John Wayne comparison comes in. But they hired him. They knew that's what he sounded like.
Okay, maybe we're missing a piece of the story here. Maybe Granger Hines, while on set, decided as an acting choice to give him a really horrible...
Granger, what are you doing? What are you doing here? He's like, well, I see this guy as a Southern kid. Well, you're still doing it. We're not recording. He's like, I know, but I'm a method actor. I studied with Lee Strasberg, for God's sakes.
You see this tattoo on my head? It's damaged. For anyone who's actually trying to follow along, the Bagoulians that you just mentioned are the Sheliak, right?
That's, yeah.
Okay. So the way these things look, so remember Venom from
they look like Venom. Yeah.
They look like, because it's played by the same fucking guy.
Really?
Oh, is it?
It's him. They just put a space blanket on Venom. And
that poor guy. He's always covered in goo or some sort of black blanket.
His grandkids are like, Grandpa, take off that black blanket. He's like, I can't. It's become me.
He's like the soup at Comic Cons. He has to be in character.
Yeah.
Selling nothing but headshots of black goo. $50.
Oh, the soup he charges way more than that.
Yeah.
When Data first enters Melinda Snodgrass's laboratory, she has a bunch of super janky droids in the background. They look a lot like episode 1 droids, like the ones from the Phantom Menace.
I'm sure that was on purpose.
No. The Phantom Menace was not even close to being out at this point.
Oh, wow.
So I feel like it's probably the other way around. Maybe George Lucas saw these droids.
You think he watched this episode?
I don't know, maybe.
And he's like, these are the droids I'm looking for. Our second storyline is that Counselor Troy keeps getting rickrolled.
Oh my God. Yes.
I'm now imagining the ghost of Rick Astley behind her in the mirror.
Turns out Rick Astley is Kevin.
Now I'm imagining Kevin, he's like, in a previous life on Earth, I made some hits in the 80s.
And she loved Rick Astley in the music box.
It's passed down in my family for generations.
Does the replicator work for like sex toys?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Really?
replicator make anything.
Why wouldn't it?
Well, I'm surprised it hasn't made some crazy stuff.
It's just off camera. The replicator is being worked all the time to make all sorts of.
They have like a backlog of just like random stuff.
Yeah.
Like every so often, the Enterprise has to do a buyback program where they encourage everyone to bring their sex toys back in for the Matter stores.
No, because once you're done, you don't want to clean up, so you just toss it all back in the.
Oh, I see.
You get a new one each time.
Dispose of the evidence. Okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
nice and sterile.
At the end of the episode, Picard gives the replicator.
Yeah.
He's like, "Listen, you can make unlimited with this thing. You can survive the winter."
Yeah.
So the thing with Vulcans is that Vulcans are actually extremely emotional. So they purge that emotion because they choose to follow logic over emotion. And so that's why Spock is such an interesting character, because he's human and Vulcan. So he's got both.
So he's like on a
Ooh.
period emotional.
Sure.
Hold on, are you telling me that when Zachary Quinto yelled Khan, he was just on his period?
And he's like, yeah, we need those things like ASAP, dude. We have like 3 hours at best. And then Data's like, well, if we go warp 7, we could be there in 23. And Picard's like, all right. Well, you know what I don't understand? It's like, if these people were like, hey, we need these batteries fast, and they can go faster, why not go faster?
It's like pedal to the metal in a car, I guess. It's
Space cops.
It's not the
They might get a ticket.
Yeah.
Rich Evans shows up.
Yeah.
Here's my list of demand. Here's my list of demand. Here's my list of demand. Oh, God.
They're like, all right, let's go to warp 7. And then immediately when he says, let's do it, the f***ing reactor blows up on FaceTime.
Right.
It's really funny.
And it takes him like a minute to be like, they're watching everything blow up. And then he's like, kind of watching it.
Yeah.
Let's go to Warp 9 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite part of him watching the explosion is that there's like a random ensign in the bottom left who's just on his console, and he's just not even looking up at the explosion. He's just looking at his console
Yeah.
and ignoring
He's got a
it.
job
I know.
to do.
If you actually look at the shot, what happens is he was looking at it, then he makes a look down at his console as if, idiots, and then he smirks, and then it zooms past him.
So they take her above, and she's like, oh, Lord, please, Picard.
And then Picard just flirts with her.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very touchy.
Yeah, he's like, put your hand down my pants. Feel this.
Jesus. Sarah's got the right idea.
I'm going to show you how real I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Would
like,
a god have this?
Yeah.
Set phasers to.
God.
Okay. Quick question.
Yeah.
Okay, do the phasers shoot or make the people? Which way is it?
Ooh.
You just blew my mind a little bit, Marvin,
Yeah.
because then you just made me realize that when you said it's a stun, you're setting the...
You're not shooting stun. You are.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're
Yeah.
setting it to what you want it to do to them.
Yeah, exactly. So I imagine it just makes him feel really good. It's actually a
Very
diplomacy device.
That makes sense. They somehow managed to figure out which one of the people down there she is. And I like this thing where Data can't comprehend that Troy is saying and
But did you notice there was this weird moment? Like the first time she did the like, and like Riker had this weird like smile on his face.
Yeah, like
Because that's a sound he knows. He knows what that sounds like.
Deanna Troy goes to old Luke Picard and he's like, hey,
I like how she goes like, so the kid's doing this, yada yada yada. Worf is being weird though.
Yeah.
The one unusual element is Worf. He wishes to involve Jeremy in a Klingon ceremony called Rustai, the bonding.
I know of that.
Imagine you're 12 and your mom dies, and all of a sudden some alien is like, "Be my brother, be my brother." You know, you're like, dude, I just want to play video games. I'm sad right now.
Let me process this.
I just want to play with my cat Patches.
yeah. They go talk to this kid and immediately I recognize this kid. This guy's a piece of dude. This guy is a kid from RoboCop 2 who was selling drugs, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
He's selling the nuke. Yeah.
And he's a piece of dude.
Yeah.
I'm glad his mom's dead, dude. That's the prequel to this. That's why he becomes a drug dealer, dude. They find this spaceship in this battlefield that is intact and it's like pristine and people have been dead for hundreds of years. I
There's
guess.
mummies on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some Indiana Jones props in the seats.
He literally says
Yeah.
this belongs in a museum.
He does.
Yes.
He does. Yeah, that's great.
That ship belongs in a museum.
So do you!
They discover the ship, and the first thing that Picard thinks is, let me go over there and check myself.
And Riker's like, hey, don't do that. It's like, but ship's in a bottle.
Yeah. I like ships.
Ships in a bottle.
Yeah. Has anybody played with a ship in a bottle?
That's a very unreasonable question to ask in
Wait.
the 24th century.
I mean, can I ask a question? Have you guys played with a ship in a bottle?
No.
I built a model Gundam once.
That would have been amazing if Picard's metaphor was actually like Gundam models. Haven't anyone made it?
Don't you people know about Gunpla?
Dan would be like, me.
Yeah.
I have an RX-78, perfect grade.
The beginning date, like her being so uncomfortable was really,
Yeah.
really cringy. Like I try to think like if I was sitting next to them on the beach and I saw that, I would probably go to her and be like, yo, do you need help? Like, do you need to get out of here?
I'd be more concerned with protecting both of them from the violin guy. If you rewatch that scene, he is so all up in their shit.
Yeah, if you saw that from afar, you'd be like, what the hell is that guy
Yeah.
doing to them?
Yeah, like he's just like all up in their shit. It's crazy.
Counselor Troy is like, he's giving me bad vibes. Like, he'll do whatever to get what he wants.
Yes, thank you, Deanna. We could tell
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we can tell.
I assure you, Captain, no aggression was intended.
Did you not see this smug face?
That was one of the most powerful examples in my memory of Deanna stating the obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, hey, we found another Romulan, you liar, you piece of shit. And he's like, not us. Well, I must have been misinformed.
And it's misinformed.
I would
Oh,
love
you
for
misinformed.
Picard at this point to say, look, even my counselor could tell that you were lying.
Yeah. They were talking about how, like, if Data had gone down to the planet, they would have had to spend weeks fixing his circuitry because, like, you would with this. He's a robot, electromagnetic.
Well, God, please don't send Data. I mean, who else
Yeah.
are we going to send?
Let's also have Miles transport himself down so that he can't come back up.
Yeah. Picard, you want to go down too? I mean, God, who else are we going to send?
Let's just land the Enterprise on the planet.
Yeah.
There's a shot where one of the Ferengi are at the bar and he's speaking to a lady
Mhm.
and he goes up to the lady and he puts his hands up like this. And I'm pretty sure he's saying, this is how long I am.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that what Gene Roddenberry had originally alluded to? That the Ferengi have gigantic
Or something like that.
Yeah. I should find that quote. This is a scene that Ricardo loves, which is like a very long shot of a foot being oiled up.
Okay, I just timed it. It's 13 fucking seconds of the foot.
It's a very long shot.
All right, so who was the biggest fetishist on the crew? Was it the director? The editor?
Maybe it was a group effort. Everyone was like,
maybe they all
conspired.
agreed.
Robert Shearer was like, hey, Hannah, I'm really into feet, dude. I'm not going to lie to you. Is there any way you can write in a scene with a lot of feet action going on? And she's like, I can do that.
She's like, it's my last script for the show. I can just toss that in there. It's fine.
And then Robert went over to Marvin Rush's office, the cinematographer, and he's like, hey, so we're going to need a smaller light kit. He's like, for what? He's like, we're going to need to light her feet because there's going to be a feet massage scene. And he's like, really? For Star Trek? He's like, yeah. And then he immediately went to John Farrell's office and he's like, this is going to be a very special episode, John. And he's like, why? He's like, we're going to have a 13-second feet shot. And he's like, really? He's like, yeah, dude. Everyone's going to get erotic, dude.
No one asked Marina Sirtis.
No one did.
not.
No one.
And then she was just like, my foot is going to be on screen for 13 seconds? What?
Well, what happened was the director's like, well, start massaging so like you're into it. You don't start it. And he's like,
and then like 6 seconds later,
and let's see. Are we rolling MOS on this or with sound? Tim, are you rolling sound? Tim. And he's like, oh, you're not rolling sound on this. Okay. Good to know. Okay. And we don't know this, but beforehand, he's like, Tim, I'm going to act like I don't know if you're rolling sound or not. And we're going to do this bit where you can't hear me. And I'm going to just keep repeating, but I'm just rolling footage on the feet, dude. Are you a feet guy, Tim? And he's like, kind of.
Tim, meanwhile, is just playing along to try to move ahead in the industry.
Yeah. And then Tim goes home to his wife and he's like, how was work, honey? He's like, dude, you know how I hate feet, but I had to pretend I love feet. My boss, the director today, he doesn't roll feet pervert. But anyway, sorry, that bit went on for way too long.
It's not a bit.
And then it's not a bit. And then they stretch out, and then they do the old scissor me timbers.
This is an infamous scene.
The scene goes on for a few minutes. They're talking about this brawl.
It's boy talk.
And his says,
Yeah. Beverly goes, oh, there was a guy I did fall in love with instantly.
Right. At first, Deanna's like, oh, that's how it was with Jack, her husband.
Yeah.
And
she's
Wesley's supposed father.
Yeah, alleged father did.
And then Beverly's like, no, not Jack.
Jack's a piece of shit. He died. He's like, no, it was a much bolder man. Did I say bald or bold? I meant bold.
And this shot's really strange because he starts doing the thing where he's like talking to him and it just cuts off in the middle of a sentence.
Yeah.
Do you realize that in the next century, the number of ships that will pass...
Gentlemen, this open session is called by request.
Why does that happen?
You know why? Because the director was like, cut the scene so you got more feet. And
Absolutely.
He's like, it doesn't make any sense. He's like, I don't give a dude.
You need to trim wherever you can in order to fit the full shot in.
He's like, but he doesn't even finish his sentence. He's like, I don't give a
Just cut off his sentence. Cut it off.
People will figure it out.
Yeah, you think people want to know what the this guy wants to say? Or do you want more feet, dude? And he's like, I thought we made a deal, dude, that we're going to have more feet in this episode. And he's like, yeah, but I know, but it's just like it feels wrong. And he's like, I don't give a what it feels like to you, dude. When you see those feet, how does your feel, dude? He's like,
oh, no. This is too accurate a description of Hollywood.
Poor Tim. I feel bad for Tim.
Not to get too far ahead, but that scene where Riker is shooting and then she's just like grimacing in pain and then Picard is perfectly still in the background.
Yeah.
And not moving at
Picard's
all.
like, let's see how this plays out, everyone. Let's just hang back.
So it turns out that wasn't his choice. Like Patrick Stewart was like, shouldn't I like react to what's going on? And then they were like, no, see, you're like the back plate for this vaporizing effect.
I was about to joke that he couldn't move because of the effect shot, but you're about to say that's because of the effect shot.
It's literally because of the effect shot. And then the director in an interview later, he said he wanted to do like this match cut thing that when she vaporizes, Picard's in the background invisible. Like weird thing. And then he was like, that wasn't worth it.
It's all right. He was just zoning out and thinking about something else.
Yeah. He's like, I remember the first time I vaporized a person. And then the next scene, they're at the space bar. And then the ruffian guy comes in and he just steals somebody's drink.
Yeah.
I love what happens immediately afterward because you see the bartender address the guy who got his drink stolen. It's like, nah, I got you, buddy.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll just make you another one.
Ain't no thing. Like, this happens all the time.
We had Lurch come in a few months ago. He was just stealing drinks left and right.
We literally couldn't keep the bar stocked. And then Utah shows up and she's like, oh, here's my dish. And then Riker says,
Partos a la Utah.
What is it again?
Partos a la Utah. Partos a la Utah.
And then he gets so excited and he starts eating and he's like, ooh, this is delicious. And Deanna's right there. And then she's like, well, I'll leave.
Oh, this is so awkward.
Yeah, it's clear that he's like kind of on like a dinner date with Deanna.
Yeah, but then she like leaves.
Well, because if I'm remembering correctly, Riker goes, hey, you should join us. And then Deanna goes, oh, well,
exactly.
I guess I'll leave then.
Yeah, Riker really can't read the room here.
It's really awkward.
He just,
you know what Riker should have said? Riker should have said, I heard that in Utah, polygamy is legal.
Yeah. Yeah. The next scene, it's like kind of from above.
Yeah, this weird shot.
I thought Riker was getting pleased orally, if you know what I mean.
Oh my God, right?
I thought he was lying back to start off or something.
that too,
and that's why he was so annoyed when someone tried to call him. He says, Riker out.
Yeah.
I'm going to
so weirdly off in that moment.
Yeah. He's a computer, play my harp ladies.
This week we watched The Defector. And
you know what? We watched a little bit of Shakespeare.
We also watched a little bit of Shakespeare.
A little bit of Shakespeare.
Went on a little long.
Little bit of theater.
Don't worry, Picard loved it. Picard loves to direct.
It's true. When you cut back to the shot of Picard, he's like, yes.
No, he's in his element 100%.
I'm not sure an actor really needs to see a director like off to the side, like visibly nodding at their performance.
Yes.
This is a top admiral outfit.
Yeah, his name's like Jaco Yumugatu or something like that. and so like Jacoby's like, hey, serious.
Jaruk.
Ja Rule. These Admiral Ja Rule.
Yeah.
Admiral John Rule.
He's like, hey, serious dude, get closer. He's like, there's a war that these are trying to start, and I don't want it. I'm not into it.
They're trying to trick everyone to go to a fire festival.
Yeah.
They're trying to make
He's like, they got this festival, and they want everybody to go to this island.
And then when they get to the planet, there's nothing there.
There's nothing there.
Oh my gosh, exactly. It's exactly like Fire Festival.
Perhaps you would care to explain why we are here.
There doesn't appear to be a base.
That's not fraud. That's not fraud. That is, I would call that false advertising.
By the way, quick bit of trivia. So the region of space that they keep traveling to, it's called Nelvana.
Nelvana 3.
Nelvana 3. Nelvana 3. Nelvana 3.
Nelvana 3. Nelvana 3.
Nelvana 3.
Nelvana 3.
Nelvana 3. Nelvana 3.
Nelvana 3. Nelvana 3.
Nelvana in the show was named after the animation studio, Nelvana.
I was wondering about that because I know the animation studio Nelvana. They're responsible for tons of programs from the 70s on. I think they're Canada-based.
Yeah, they're Canadian. And interestingly, Nelvana, the studio, is named after the first Canadian comic book superhero named Nelvana of the Northern Lights, who is also one of the first female superheroes ever. She actually debuted before Wonder Woman.
Oh, and she's Inuit.
Yeah, she seems like a potentially really cool superhero.
All right, we need a lot of groundswell around Nelvana right now.
Yeah.
Everyone go push Nelvana for SummerSlam.
So this dude is like, I got my super soldiers, and we're gonna you up, dude. Give us a reason, dude. Either shoot us or we'll kill you. Like,
Give
that's
us
the
a
option.
fucking reason.
And then Picard's like, well, I'm out. And he's like,
Picard's like, yeah, I have your application in it.
he's like, we're gonna review it if you guys make it through the night.
Yeah, essentially.
Will you note in our report that if the government of Angosha survives the night, we will offer them Federation assistance.
This is officially my personal favorite use of the Prime Directive ever.
Yeah.
It's the first time it's been used as a diss.
Yeah, it is.
The intro very specifically states recreational shore leave has been prohibited.
Recreational shore leave has been prohibited.
So
Yeah.
why are they hanging out having lunch?
Yeah.
And it's not even like they're having like a diplomatic lunch
No,
or
they're just
something that's
hanging out.
political.
They're just
They're
having
at what
lunch.
seems to be a mall, like
Yeah.
a food court.
Yeah, it does look like a food court.
They're at the Sherman Oaks Mall. Really small.
They're
Yeah.
eating Sbarro, and then like,
And then there's stack.
and then boom. The intro says the Ansata separatists are demanding autonomy and self-determination for their homeland.
It's more material for George Lucas to steal. He's like, oh, separatist.
Oh yeah, separatists.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I think that makes sense. Phantom Menace, a lot of it is just like politics talk, right?
Yeah.
And maybe that's what George Lucas thought Star Trek is, right? It's just a lot of politics talk. So maybe he was like, I'm just going to write an episode of Star Trek in Star Wars. But the problem is he doesn't know how to write a culture other than a stereotype. So when you have the Gungans and then you have with the Trade Federation, he's just like, okay, so they're Jamaican and they're Chinese. And that's
Maybe George Lucas just stuck to season 1 of TNG.
Yeah, dude.
There's a part where a boy is helping her like treat one of the people who are sick, and she's like,
You could learn to do this when you grow up.
and then Beverly just says on her own,
If you grow up.
right next to him.
Yeah.
like, what the f- man?
Yeah, that was up. Me and Marvin were like, holy that's a really dark thing to say to a kid.
There's a legitimate ongoing narrative at this point of Beverly just being like completely sociopathic in terms of her relation to death. Cause like there's another episode, remember when she was like, she's about to die, Captain, you should come in and see.
Yeah.
And she says right out loud next to the spouse, yep, she's about to die.
We have a kill screen coming up.
Yeah, we have a kill screen, literal kill screen coming up.
If anybody wants to see, there's a kill screen coming up.
I will say this is a fun episode. It's funny because he could have picked to be anything and he picked to be human, which is stupid.
Yeah.
He has a lot of funny lines because he's like, oh man, I have to eat now and I have to be scared and I have to sneeze and I have to do this.
I have to eat. I'm hungry.
I'm feeling a pain in my stomach.
I thought he was going to like himself when he said that. I was like, oh, you better go to the bathroom, Q.
They have one of my favorite interactions in Star Trek in that scene where he's talking to Worf.
What must I do to convince you people?
Die.
Yeah, it's a good.
Oh, very clever, Worf. Eat any good books lately?
Everyone's like go-to insult for Worf is like, you're stupid. Like,
Yeah.
like what?
Which is like not fair because Worf went through Starfleet Academy, which is really difficult.
Yeah.
They were very accurate about everyone I tested with, including myself.
Yeah, he probably had to read. Probably read at least a little bit.
He probably ate so many books.
My read on this is that the Q Continuum is just a bitter improv troupe.
Yeah.
Where everyone is like, overly dramatic and theatrical, and they gesticulate all the goddamn time. And
Every single time they're like with people, it's actually like an improv session.
Yeah. So, like, give me a setting, like a mariachi can sing. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Bum, bada, bum, bada, bum, bada, bum. I've never known a more annoying person than someone who does improv.
I do enjoy some Whose Line Is It Anyway? I mean,
of course.
That's quite a funny show.
Okay, that's top tier. That's different.
Marvin, I like the Batman movies, but I don't like the dudes that hang out in Hollywood Boulevard, dude.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So he's doing this bit, and he puts cigars in their mouth, which is funny. And he's like, Riker, dude, I have good fortune, so I'm going to share my good fortune with you, my man. And he puts the ladies there.
I don't need your fantasy women.
Oh, yeah, dude. And he swaps them over to Worf.
And Worf's like kind of okay with
Yeah. Worf's like, he's like, I approve. This Mon Calamari dude from the other thing.
Yeah.
That shall not be mentioned because people will be like, oh, fuck, I thought this was a goddamn fucking Star Trek show. You pieces of shit. I always thought he looked delicious, dude. I like to eat it. You know what I mean? Just cook him up a little bit.
You mean Akbar?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Think about it, dude.
That depends on whether that head is like full of like a cuttlefish bone or if it's like actual edible flesh up there.
It's like, have you ever eaten Mexican tacos called tacos de cabeza? It's like cow brain.
Yeah.
They're delicious, dude. Okay, one of those pots that you put like crabs in and veggies and corn and like.
Yeah, do a Cajun boil. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
boil
just
them
throw
up,
in
dude.
there. Yeah, dude.
There's only 3 people on that space station, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's the mobster from a bunch of movies.
Yeah.
He's a character actor that you've seen a bunch of times. His name is Mark Margolis.
Yeah, he's the uncle with the bell in Breaking Bad.
No,
Oh,
what?
you're right.
No, shut up.
That is
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Salamanca. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Salamanca?
Yeah. It's him with the Hayachi haircut.
Yeah, Hayachi. I think this dude also plays that old man puppet that Jeff Dunham carries around.
Yeah.
Wait, are you? This is really him? This is Salamanca?
Yeah, it's really the puppet.
Wow.
Jeff Dunham sucks, by the way.
Well, you're not wrong. And then she's like, yeah. And then my husband showed up and he just beat the out of him.
That was insane. That this guy can like feed me and Marvin were like, yeah, this didn't happen. F- this.
But the evidence against Riker is that he was beat up by an old man at the end of the first season. So
yeah, it's true. It's true.
Possible.
But it was an old man hopped up on vitamins and alien goo.
Vitamins. They do wonders for the body.
So was Tasha technically part of engineering? Like, what was her role?
No, she was head of security.
Oh, so she was Worf.
Yeah, Worf took her job over. Worf was like her
Yes.
partner. And that's why they do the transition too. And also why in the episode she dies, there's like a martial arts tournament happening. And Worf says, oh, I put a large bet on you. And she goes, oh, you did? And it's like implied that he likes her.
Yeah.
So I felt like this conversation was kind of alluding to that. Is like, oh, you're never with anyone else in the ship. And he's like, well, person I like died.
You know, you always drink alone. It wouldn't hurt you to seek out a little companionship.
How come he won't drink with his adopted brother?
Well, he hates his family.
Yeah. Gadden's like, hey, you're always drinking alone. Wouldn't you have companionship? He's like, ha ha, not with this.
These.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just says,
Not
like,
with my 2.
for their safety, like, I wouldn't want to even try.
For
You
their
know what I mean?
safety. It's not advisable that I do that, you know?
He was kind of willing to try when Q gave him those 2 fantasy women.
Oh, wait, he actually literally says for their safety.
Yeah. It's literal.
Earth females are too fragile. I was merely concerned for the safety of my crewmates.
I like how 10 Forward in this timeline is a mess hall.
Yeah, right?
And all they serve is gruel.
What can I get for you?
Just a couple of TKLs. Want to hurry?
What's a TKL?
They don't explain. They only give it an abbreviation and then say that replicators are on low power.
Food replicators are on minimum power, so everything else is diverted to the defensive systems.
Yeah. They're like, it only makes Del Taco, which is
Instead of Taco Bell, we can only make Del Taco.
Guess what? Del Taco will never be a sponsor on this program. Not because they wouldn't do it, because I would never let them, dude.
They're about to get their Del Taco, and then the captain goes,
Senior officers will report to my ready room immediately.
they're like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. He's like, hey, we're about to lose this battle, so like, don't eat the Del Taco because you're gonna die anyway. So might as well go happy, dude.
Standard rations. I didn't like the sound of that, Captain.
And Lal, she's kind of doing the Small Wonder bit. You know, you guys
she's totally being
Yeah.
Vicky. Like I was
Yeah.
just getting intense Vicky vibes in her first scenes with Data in the quarters.
Oh no, what are these? These are flowers. Oh my gosh.
Cold.
Cold. Yeah.
Cry, and then a stream of water shoots out her eyeball.
And then Starfleet calls Picard in the middle of the night.
Oh, his sexy middle of the night outfit. We
Oh,
see
yeah.
a little
Yeah, that's
bit of
true.
chest.
It's very sexy pajamas.
Actually, Marvin sleeps like this with his hand.
Wait, with just like unbuttoned shirt all the way to the navel?
Yes, exactly. No, I'm more meant with the arm.
No,
starfish pose.
you meant it how you meant it. So then Data takes his daughter to work at a bar.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's like, hey,
Guinan.
Guinan. Oh my God, you saved me. Guinan.
Guinan.
He's like, hey, Guinan, you're old as shit, dude. So like, teach her some shit, dude, and let her fucking clean the bar and shit,
The Admiral has a one-on-one with her.
Yeah.
And she says, I don't want to go, but then she realizes he's going to try to take her away.
Yep.
So then she starts panicking, and then it's revealed that she's feeling emotions.
Yeah.
And emotions suck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Turns out being human is self-destructive inherently.
Man. That's the moral of the story.
Yeah.
Is that emotions will kill you.
Exactly.
She's like, I don't want to feel this. I'd rather die.
Yeah.
By the end of this episode, I started to get the feel like, wait a minute, if Data ever reaches a threshold where he feels an emotion, he's
he'll
gonna
die. He'll die. Yeah. You're gonna
That's
die.
That's f***ed, man.
The first moment you feel love, you're gonna die.
That's not cool at all.
Be careful when anyone loves you. Gulp that down.
I hate the ending of this episode a lot.
Yes, I do too.
Because the problem is, so they have the sentimental ending with Lal.
Yeah.
She passes away. She degrades. But then Data comes to the bridge and goes, yeah, Lal passed away. And everyone goes, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
And then Data goes, oh, don't worry. She's always here. And you think of it as like, oh, is it like a sentiment? Like he always
like,
has her
I get it.
memories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in
But
his
then,
memory.
but then he goes, no, I downloaded her memories into my brain.
Oh,
and you're
boy.
like, what?
And then suddenly you're faced with the weird reality of like, oh, wait, no, that's always what she was. She was just a copy of his brain.
My first thought was, oh, he has the memory of kissing Riker randomly.
Oh, yeah.
Data and Riker probably have smooched a bit off screen. I mean, Riker gets around.
Never in such a thrilling manner.
This guy shows up and he's Candyman.
Candyman
Yeah.
shows up.
Candyman shows up.
Oh, wow. Now that you say it, I look at him and I'm like, oh, yeah.
And he shows up in a really scary way, too. He's like in darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a strangely darkly lit transporter room. He said, energize, and she just started whispering, Candyman.
Really fast.
This feels like the first time, at least while watching this series, that Klingons are kind of full of because I really thought they stood by the honor thing. Like, I really thought that was how it was going to be. And this is the first time that I'm like, oh, there's actually some twisted politics and it's not actually straightforward.
It turns out that Klingons are more human than we thought.
Exactly.
And I think, that's what's so disappointing. It's like, really? They do this bullshit too?
Listen, we have these weird arbitrary rules in place.
Apparently, Worf's the only real Klingon here.
That's the thing. Worf, because he has always had a kind of surface level understanding of Klingon culture, takes all of it completely to heart.
He's like, look, this whole honor thing, I mean...
It's more of a guideline. It's not
It's
really
more of a guide. It's more of a guide.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And he's like, oh, and one last thing. And then he slaps down Chum-Chi.
I love that. Chumley just nods, goes, yes.
And he's like, we'll go with you, dude. We'll go party with you. And then so they go to Mustafar and...
and Riker also goes, but he never says anything. He just stands there.
he's kind of off duty. He's like, I'm just here to see who I can.
I didn't get
He's
to
like-
a Klingon lady last time.
Yeah, last time Worf her, got a nice tapatio, a hot hand.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He had the
He's
time
like,
of his life.
Ladies, he's like, I've brought my own tapatio, so whoever was willing, I'm here, and I only have one.
It's the first time they'd ever shown their home planet of Kronos, or Kronos, depending on your pronunciation.
I love how it has random lightning everywhere. It's like evil race.
It's edgy. This is a
I wish like metal music was
planet.
playing in the
I'm sure there's a metal band that they dress up as Klingons. And they play
oh
metal.
yeah, there has to be like.
So he leaves, and that same group of people try to ambush him, but he shanks one of them. Straight Picard murders a Klingon dude.
Picard showed the up. He stepped into his Chadich role.
When the Donald Trump Klingon goes up to him and says, "What is this guy gonna do?" He says, "You want to around and find out? I will you up." And then he does that other guy up.
Like, there's a meme we've shared with each other before where it's like the classiest way to say around and find out is
You may test that assumption at your convenience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Galaxy Quest, the movie that at the 2013 Star Trek convention in Las Vegas was considered the 7th best Star Trek movie of all time.
Wow.
In a fan ranking.
That's pretty funny, actually.
While I was watching this, I was like, oh, that would have been crazy if this would have been like a sanctioned sequel to the Star Trek movies. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm always hoping Star Trek will one day do, is that they'll be like willing to make something that's a bit meta.
That's kind of like turning Star Trek into like JCVD.
Which JCVD is one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen. I literally cried in movie theaters.
It's a great movie.
They also have Tony Shalhoub. His character's name is Fred Kwan, and he plays
No. The best part. Okay, did you not notice how when the Thermians like meet the rest of the crew, they turn to Tony and they say, "Tech Sergeant."
Yeah.
And then he noticeably squints at them.
I didn't
Really?
Squinted at them.
I didn't.
It's awful.
Wait, is he squinting in that fake opening sequence?
I think he is actually.
He
I think
is. Oh no.
Yep. Okay, so I ended up reading up a little bit about this, and part of the motivation behind this like dynamic is because they tried to be inspired by David Carradine in Kung Fu, because he was like, not an Asian guy, but he was playing one.
But that's nothing to do with Star Trek.
I know.
They had
It was
an
weird.
actual Asian man in Star Trek.
In 2009, I was kicking myself because it was a big story that Kevin Conroy comes out of hiding to finally attend a Comic-Con after however many years. And I'm like, what? God damn it, I miss Batman.
But then he shows up most Comic-Con.
But then he starts showing up at every single Comic-Con. So it's like, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I denied him the use of a bathroom by accident.
Oh, you should tell that story.
What?
Okay, I was waiting for the premiere of the latest DC animated DTV, and before it came on, I realized I really needed to use the restroom. Like, it was an emergency. So I was waiting in line, then I hear someone behind me. He says, "Excuse me, are you waiting for a stall?" I say, "Yeah." And then I look around behind me, I was like, "Oh shit, it's Kevin Conroy." But that doesn't change the fact that I need to take a real bad, man. This was like minutes before he had to like go somewhere
to be on the panel.
Yeah.
Damn, how could you?
So yeah, eventually I made good on my missing of Kevin Conroy, and instead of getting an autograph, I just denied him his
Why does Picard look like he's going to choke her when he's like going to wake her up?
Yeah. Well, he's into that shit. You know what I mean? You can't judge what kind of kink.
It looks like he was about to choke her. Like,
He approaches people to wake them up like Dracula does.
yeah, exactly. Like, that's what it was. It was really weird.
Did you guys notice that all these people like stand weird? Like the fish guy is like in a weird like yoga pose on his bed, like he's kind of meditating. And then the alien girl, she walks like she's like doing the diamond cutter, like from that wrestler. You know, the wrestler?
Diamond Dallas's page is
yeah.
She's doing the thing that he accused Jay-Z of stealing, the hand symbol.
Yeah. And she's doing it, but near her vagina, which is weird. And so she's like, "Oh,
diamond cut this."
Yeah. And then back in the Saw room, they're kind of like turning on each other a little bit because the Wolfman tries to eat the little puck of food that they have. And he's like, "Oh, fuck, I'm going to die if I eat this."
Yeah, it's the little puck of Jello.
I can't eat Jello. It reminds me of Bill Cosby, and I hate that piece of shit. And he's like, no, that
he yells, "Bill
sense.
Cosby!"
Poison.
It was a little hard for me to believe that just off of that one lick and him yelling "poison," that was like enough to be like, oh, that means he can't eat it at all.
Yeah.
Maybe it just tastes bad.
He just doesn't like the flavor of strawberry. Yeah. He's just like,
yeah, like remember when Dr. Steve Brule tried sushi?
it's really hot. And then Picard is wearing a sexy outfit to dinner.
Oh, yeah.
A very sexy outfit, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's in a lot of sexy outfits this season.
Yeah.
Like that episode where he woke up from his nap and then he had like
he was like in a robe, like a sleeping robe. This is like a low-cut shirt.
Yeah.
Heck, we're not even done for the season.
Oh, next episode, he's going to be in a really sexy outfit.
Oh, wow. It gets sexier? In this episode, he's in a deep V t-shirt.
You'll see how deep his V goes next episode.
Yeah, dude. And he's like, you know what this calls for? A sea shanty.
Oh, man.
To find something new in this wonderful year, to honor we call you as free men as slaves. For who are so free as
Jody
the
doesn't know the words.
We'll fight and we'll conquer again and again.
That line right there kind of stuck out to me, though. It's like conquer.
The song itself is weird. It was a British sailing song called Heart of Oak from the 18th century. So, like, they talk about things the English would have back then, which is not great. Like, oh, we're free men, not slaves. We will conquer other countries.
Oh, no.
This doesn't strike me as the perfect thing to be singing in this century.
I think he's saying as free men, not slaves, as he walks up to his main black employees.
Wait, is that literally the lyric?
To honor we call you as free men as slaves.
Oh, my God.
But it's funny how, like, he just dozes off. And he's like, oh, yeah. And he's kind of rocking a little bit.
Yeah. Do we think that chair looks comfortable? It looks pretty comfortable.
It's more comfortable than Riker's jacking off chair. I mean,
Riker's chairs looks really uncomfortable.
Why can't the future just have comfortable chairs? Why is it so difficult? Patrick Stewart went directly up to the writers and to Gene Roddenberry and said, okay, listen, the problem with Star Trek is there's not enough fighting, there's not enough so we need an episode where I do both a lot.
Yeah, he marched up to Ira Stephen Bear with a script, and he's like, look, I've got this script. And in this, I'm kind of a rogue James Bond figure. And then I rescue...
That's almost exactly what happens, actually.
And we go searching for the Tox Utat, but by then, I've seen everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
And then Riker's like, oh, by the way, you're going to go down to this place. It's great. And he's like, can you get me one of those... Akuta Matata things, and I don't know what it's called. What is it called?
A Horgon.
Yeah, well, it makes a lot of sense that it's called a Horgon.
Well, it's actually more of a horse stay, if you really...
Yeah. It's like that thing at a Brazilian barbecue. You know that the red and green thing at the Brazilian barbecue?
Yeah.
When the green side's up.
Yeah. He does the thing where he's about to punch the Ferengi and he throws the gun into his other hand and then
it's
knocks out.
It's a good move. It's a good move.
Yeah, then he gets the disruptor and he just chucks it in the bushes for like some kids to find.
Yeah.
Wasn't it funny that in the ship, the crew was just literally like spinning in circles slowly?
Yeah, that's the funniest shot of the episode.
That's the best part of the episode.
Yeah. In opposite directions. They're not spinning the same way.
Oh no.
I'll try spinning. That's a good trick.
So Matt Murdock, he manhandles Geordi, throws him out of the way. And then Riker shows up and he's like, hey, pal, what are you doing here? And then he manhandles Riker as well. And then he goes over to Deanna and he's like, hey, what's up, baby?
I gotta be honest, this is the most attractive Marina Sirtis has looked in the series so far.
Yeah, they really like upped up her, like her face is like super smooth. Like I don't know if they have a filter on her, but she looks like flawless.
This timid dude shows up and he's like gonna hide. And,
yeah.
And Jordy's like, what the dude? Why are you late, you piece of dude? Get over here, dude. Why are you hiding over there, dude? And I think what he's hiding is his
because he just came that's a great point.
It's sad because you see the Geordi in the simulation and you're like, wow, that's a really exaggerated, mean version of Geordi.
Yeah.
You're on duty.
Is that a fact?
It is, and you'll observe it. So get back to your post.
And then you see Geordi in real life and you're like, wow, Geordi is that mean to him.
Hey, is it a problem for you to report to duty on time, Lieutenant?
I'm very, very sorry, sir. It's just that I had a very important communique.
I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, he's actually kind of mean. Actually, everyone's kind of mean to him. If he wasn't so creepy, I would feel mildly a little bad for him.
Riker inadvertently says, yeah, Lieutenant Broccoli, right?
Yeah.
I think it's time we spoke to the captain about broccoli. That's what Wesley calls him. You keep that to yourself.
And Geordi says,
"Let Fitz."
What the f*** is that? What is broccoli? What does that mean?
Does he look like a broccoli?
I think around 1990, broccoli had this reputation as like the food that everyone hates. This is the food that all kids hate.
I mean, Dr. Hibbert said it's the most deadly vegetable known to man.
Yeah.
Another broccoli-related death.
But I thought broccoli was...
Oh, yes, one of the deadliest plants on Earth. Why, it tries to warn you itself with its terrible taste.
I do really like Dwight Schultz's performance, and the ending's really great when he's like talking to his holograms, and he's quivering because he's about to delete his collection.
Erase all programs filed under Reginald Barclay. Accept program 9.
Dwight Schultz, when he talks about a capacitor in Deanna Troy's office, he calls it the flux capacitor.
He sure does.
I knew about the flux capacitor, but I didn't need to hear about it from some 17-year-old kid.
It's supposed to be the flow capacitor, and it's in the script as flow capacitor, but on set, he just kept calling it flux capacitor by accident because he had just rewatched Back to the Future.
Well,
yeah, the Enterprise can probably time travel. It probably has like 3 Mr. Fusions.
Yeah.
The warp drive is essentially a Mr. Fusion.
Yeah.
A giant Mr. Fusion.
I would love if they were just constantly throwing garbage into the warp drive to power it.
Data is literally the transporter, dude.
They're transporting stuff that explodes when you move it wrong.
Yeah.
And they're having the person who transports it be the one-of-a-kind android.
This is so dumb.
This episode is a really good example of why are we making Data do this?
Yeah, here's the thing. We've seen them autopilot the shuttles.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen them before. And they basically kidnap him. And guess what they do? They pilot it remotely. Which they could have done from the beginning.
It's so funny that in the episode itself, it destroys its own setup.
And then as he's about to leave, the shuttle blows up. And they're like, oh my God. Fucking Data's dead. Oh, all right. Anyway, we gotta go. And then they can leave.
And Picard's like, look, I gotta move on. Who's replacing Data? Worf? Let's all agree it's Worf.
We must select an officer to replace Data at Ops. Recommendations? Worf would be my first choice, sir. Mine as well. Make it so.
It's been like 5 minutes since he died. And then Geordi and old Timmy go over to Data's quarters and they start handing out stuff. This
They just start disseminating his personal items.
Through his stuff.
Yeah.
But it's been like 5 minutes. He's not even cold yet.
Well, he's very hot because he got exploded in a fireball.
So wait, was that acid to like burn off his clothes? Well,
Yeah, it was specifically just to make him unmodest.
So you know what Data should have done? Data should have just stayed naked.
That would have been the power move.
Oh, that would have been great. And he's doing his escape sequence while fully naked. And then
I mean, it would be like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator.
Yeah.
It would have been like Eastern Promises. It's a bathhouse fight, but for 2 hours.
It would have been like the transporter. He'd get greased up in that shuttle bay.
Yeah. He's like, try to catch me now, motherfuckers. And so they killed some of the henchmen, and then old Faja shows up, and she's like, oh, the gun's on the floor. She dropped the gun.
Oh my
damn
God.
it,
This
dude.
was the worst.
And she has the worst dive for the gun I've ever seen. It's
was
worse than
pretty bad.
Cypher's dive for the gun in The Matrix.
On the floor of the cargo bay where they have their final confrontation, you can see the Japanese characters Kei and Yuri, which are the Japanese characters that correspond to the names Kei and Yuri, which are the 2 protagonists of the anime Dirty Pair.
Oh, okay. I thought you were about to say they actually reused the Ambo Jutsu fight set.
Oh, no.
And as he's about to shoot him, he gets transported away.
Yeah.
And when he's in transit, old Miles O'Brien's like, oh, he's like, there's a weapon in transit. And it was discharged.
Yeah. There is no ambiguity as to what happened. Data was totally going to ice him.
He basically tells Riker, like, oh, it must have been a misfire. Not me. Not my chair. Not my problem.
Not my problem.
Riker's like, all right, cool. Anyway.
Riker's like, I've shot tons of people. It's fine.
Like, I've iced a lady in front of everyone.
Yeah.
Blew up someone's brain. Like, it's fine.
Spock, more than any other character, I think, is like the most emblematic of Star Trek as a franchise.
I think if you just think of Star Trek, you think of Spock, like first.
Yeah,
off the
like
bat,
if
pretty
you
much
do
now.
this is Spock. Or I mean, I'm doing the live long and prosper thing with my hands. Sorry,
Oh, I
listeners.
thought you were doing the West Side sign.
Well, see, Vulcans are west side, and then Romulans are east
I
side.
see.
That's why they hate each other.
Oh, okay. At least we have Tupac.
Yeah, Tupac, Spock.
Dang, I can't believe Biggie's a Romulan.
Yeah,
That makes sense. That makes sense.
The cool thing about Sarek is it's the first time outside of the Bones cameo in the very first episode where they're willing to acknowledge direct continuity between the original series and TNG, like actually mention characters, bring them up more directly, and have them be like plot points. Because apparently before this, Gene Roddenberry, for some reason, really hated the idea of a cinematic universe.
Well, it makes sense. I think maybe he's in the future, this Gene Roddenberry. And he time traveled and he's like, fuck this whole Marvel bullshit, dude.
Yeah, he traveled so far that he like already saw the endpoint of all this multiverse crap.
And he's like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, is Charlie Cox part of the new MCU? Or is he part of the thing? Is he with Sony? Who the fuck is he with, dude? I don't fucking know. I'm gonna go back. And then he told his writers, nothing connects, dude.
Can I interrupt you just to bash on Wesley for just a second?
Yeah.
I knew that was gonna come.
Well, only because it feels like it's always Wesley whenever they're like preparing something special for like a species they're about to intercept or interact with or welcome to their ship. He's always like, why are they like this?
And Lagaren's really gonna sit in this stuff? Can you believe this smell?
Yeah, it's like, Jesus, this is their culture. This is what they are.
You know how I feel about Wesley, dude. I think he's a piece of shit, dude. But that one time, he's like, oh, this is what they eat. It turns out that those were dude. So
that's true.
Well, that's just true. Him as a recognizing other
game recognizing game.
Game recognizes game.
Yeah.
Wesley has a hot date and he's like, you think we'll be done before this goddamn date? Like,
What's your hurry? You don't really think anything's gonna happen with Suzanne Dumont, do you? She's not gonna waste her time on someone like you. Someone like me? She's way out of your league.
And then when they start getting really aggressive, he's like,
Well, you start to have to fight my women on the holodeck.
And this is my favorite scene of the goddamn episode. Wesley goes to her and they're chit-chatting and he's like, all right, well, I got a date, so later. And she's like, well, no, you're going to the diplomatic dinner thing. And he's like, it's not an official like dinner, so hell no, I'm not going, dude. I got this hot date. And she's not a holodeck lady. And she backhands him, dude. She backhands Wesley, and it's one of my favorite scenes of the season.
It's kind of shocking.
Yeah. And then there's a scene with Deanna Troi and Beverly, where Beverly's like, oh, and then I hit him. She's kind of recounting the story. And I feel like Deanna's not like, whoa, that's out of character for you. That's weird. She's more like, well, maybe he deserved it. Like, he's like, okay, but give me more facts.
You know, think about how it felt so I can, using my empathic abilities, I will also know how it felt.
Live vicariously.
You have, not Scotty. What's this guy's name? This Irish dude.
Miles
O'Brien. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he shows up to the bar and he shows up with a gang, dude. I didn't know he rolled like that, dude.
This scene's Gangs of New York.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you know something weird's going to happen because Guinan isn't there.
Yeah. Guinan would have brought out her shotgun and shot the air and been like, stop fighting.
Yeah.
You know?
Or she would have done the force
her cat claws against Q.
Yeah.
When they confronted each other, I feel like Miles should have been like, I should sit here. I have the new uniform. You have a season 1 uniform on.
I outrank you. Get out.
It's ill-fitting and sweaty. By the way, that is the best looking fight in the series so far.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
They look more brawly instead
of
just like choreography.
Yeah, when that guy does a cheap shot on Riker, it looks like he really got hit. Like, it looks pretty painful.
Yeah. By the way, who the is that little kid that Geordi's talking to?
I don't know.
In the background. And let me tell you my theory about this kid. This kid, Geordi's hiring this kid to go steal that girl from Wesley.
Oh my god.
Will you start to have to fight my women on the holodeck?
The plot continues.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
You woo her. Look at your hair, dude. Better than Wesley's hair, dude. Look at you. You got color in your uniform, dude. You're great, dude. Go over there, show her your BMX and get her out of BMX. This guy, dude.
Oh my god.
This is a very memory alpha heavy episode, but it's just funny because the little blurb for us said this boy was played by an unknown actor. He's one of a handful of exceptions as children are usually not allowed to visit 10 Forward. So that means Geordi brought him in to give him ice cream.
You think it's cool to go into 10 Forward, little boy?
Yeah.
Thematically, it ties together very well. Like, he had missed an opportunity before to get close to Sarek and learn more about the great things he had done. And he was hoping this would be another opportunity. And he got way, way more than he thought he was going to get with the mind meld.
You think when he left with a bad impression of him? He's like, oh, this priestess, and I had this kid named Cyclops.
Now he knows all that. Just true.
Yeah.
Oh,
Never mind, meld your heroes.
Sarek shows up and he's like, God damn it, dude, you idiots, dude. I said no painting on the wall, dude. None of these Jackson Pollocks. Get him out of here, dude. You idiots.
It's because it offends the Ligarans. It has to have bare walls. The walls can't be too bright. There can't be any furniture in the room whatsoever. Only their goo pool.
There's that lady on that Netflix show, the minimalist lady.
Wait, Marie Kondo? Was that her name? Yeah.
Their entire planet does not spark joy.
Only this tank sparks joy.
This whole episode, they tease us the whole episode. Wesley's going to be gone. Don't worry. And then at the end, you're like, Wesley, don't miss the ship, dude. Get on the Santa Maria or whatever the the ship's called. And they kept teasing it. And you're like, okay, this is it. This is it. And then look, the sexual assault aside. This is the episode that shows us how much privilege Wesley has.
You're right. By a country mile.
It's such a long roundabout way to make nepotism seem noble.
Yeah. If I was one of the ensigns in there and I was like, God damn it, I did my test, I did the oral test, I did so many goddamn things, and this fucking guy, the captain his mom. And now he gets to do whatever he wants. Dude.
Field promotions left and right. Oh, yeah.
I have a question. Like, why does Picard not want his sucked or something? I mean, he's like somebody willing and like...
The only characters that can bewitch him are people who constantly endanger his life.
Remember, he just like 3 episodes ago. Remember, he went on retreat.
The Indiana Jones episode.
Yeah, the vacation. It only gets hard when his life is in danger.
Yeah. He her at least a few times in that one trip. Yeah. You know, Gene Roddenberry, after the promotion in the episode itself, in real life, gave his Navy lieutenant bars that he received while he was really in the Navy to Will Wheaton.
Why?
Because he liked him a lot, I guess.
Okay.
You know, I see myself in you, young man.
I think literally that's what it was. And also he can't
Because I wrote it that way.
Yeah, I know.
yeah, exactly. And apparently you can't just do that. Apparently you have to do that in a ceremony. So they actually had to summon the Joint Chiefs of Staff do it. Which at the
from
time,
the Navy?
Yeah, which at the time was none other than General Colin Powell. So there's apparently this photo of Colin Powell on the set of TNG sitting in the captain's chair next to a really confused looking LeVar Burton.
Wow.
The main thing I actually don't like about the episode is that it was a really big missed opportunity for a good tie-in thing. You have a really fun moment with Picard, like Patrick Stewart just loving Shakespeare. But the thing that I wish they did, which they seemed to allude to that they were about to do, but they didn't, was at the beginning, Deanna tells her mom, stop treating me like a child, treat me like the adult that I am.
Yeah.
Little one, you called me that when I was 5. Now stop demeaning me and address me as an adult.
And then towards the end of the episode, Luxana says, stop treating me like a child.
William, I am a grown woman. I can make my own decisions.
I thought she was going to have an epiphany where she's like, oh, shit, I've been doing that to Deanna.
I think at the end, she still does call her little one. She just reverts back.
Yeah, she just keep calling her little one.
Please, little one, do this for me.
So what is the character arc here? There's no character arc.
The character arc is that Wesley's a real ensign now.
He brings him in, and then he turns into one of those yellow bright ass
morph suit guy.
Morph suit dudes. I wish I couldn't see his moose knuckle.
That's what I was about to say. When he's in that white sweater onesie. God damn.
No, it's Star Trek, the sexiest show on CBS.
The only saving grace, honestly, is that, as usual, Patrick Stewart makes the best of a bad situation. And his few lines of delivery at the end of the episode are like the best parts of the episode.
No, I don't buy that. Even he couldn't save saying that in front of that costume.
She's the secret potential next season second character. That's what they're setting her up as, you know?
Yeah. I was like, oh, right, interesting. And then this old admiral perv, like he's like, oh, you better watch out for her.
Yeah, that's not great. That is not a great line.
Yeah. It's not aged well at all, this line.
Keep your eye on her, Jean-Luc. She's one very impressive young lady.
You seem rather taken with her, JP.
She's
Just an old man's fantasies.
It also comes off as pretty believable.
Yeah, it's true. It's
two
true.
old white guys just talking about like young women.
Two old dudes talking about
Yeah, like that's exactly what they would say.
There's another poker scene which is unneeded in this.
They're hilariously cramped on this little table.
Yeah.
It's like it's a shitty poker table, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it was a lens. Like he's like, all we
Yeah.
have is a goddamn. All we have is a 25. He's like, go find Terrence Malick and tell him to give you one of those wide ass 15s, and we'll tell him we're gonna film a wheat field.
When I look at the wide shot of the table, it looks like the lamp above them isn't even like above the table correctly. It's just there to be the top of the frame.
Yeah,
yeah, it does. It doesn't look like it's the same plane as the table.
It's not where it should be.
It's tilted towards the camera.
It might actually be held on like a C-stand to just simulate the top of a light. I think you're right.
Yeah.
There is a neat, very small detail when she says early bird gets the worm.
Yeah.
And then, everybody knows the joke from Data is like, I think she erred. There's no life forms or birds or anything. But when she says that, immediately Data with his tricorder starts scanning the ground and then scanning the air for birds and worms.
Oh, I love that. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, that feels like an ad lib.
That's pretty good. Yeah. I like that they have the elaborate special effects of the Borg teleportation, but the one that's dead on the floor, it disappears like an enemy in a video game.
Yeah.
It just fades away.
And leaves his outline on the carpet where he was laying there.
Yeah, I love the outline on the carpet. That's like a great detail.
Out of nowhere, the sea parts of Borg, and they see Picard as a goddamn Universal Soldier and like tight leather daddy.
Picard looks hot.
Here we go. Here we
go. Sexy.
Yes.
They give him 6-pack, and then stupid Worf, he runs to give the captain a hug.
Yeah, he was like,
he's all, Captain. And he just
oh man, I wish that's the narrative. He's like, oh my god, Captain, I'm so glad to see you.
I miss you so much.
I miss you so much, Miss.
I'm sorry I let you go.
I'm never letting you go again, Jean-Luc.